Picture this. You're in the middle of life's journey, balancing being a parent and a partner. Then, out of nowhere, it feels like the person you've been sharing this adventure with starts moving in a completely different direction. Late nights out, secrets, and a distance growing between you that's hard to ignore. It's a situation many might find themselves in, but with a twist for our times. When the family you've built starts to feel like it's falling apart, what steps do you take? How do you face a storm that's not coming from the sky, but from within the very walls of your home? This is a story about love, the hard choices we face, and the journey to uncover the truth in a marriage that's hit rough waters. So, let's get ready to explore what it means to navigate these choppy seas, and remember, we're in this together. This trip might not be smooth, but it's one we'll take step by step, uncovering the answers along the way. I'm in my mid-30s and have a young child with my wife. Ever since he was born, she has been distant and short with me, and it's gotten worse over the last 3 or so months. She has made friends without kids and started going out more. When I ask to be included, she always has an excuse to not bring me along. It's not hard when one of us has to be with our child. When I brought up how I feel, she told me that she feels like she's lost her identity through the process of being pregnant and then breastfeeding and being a mom. She feels like she just wants to get out and be around people who don't have kids and live her own life for a bit. As a part of this, she'll go out until 2 a.m. and take weekend trips without me. It feels like she's withdrawing from me, and I know she's not always being honest with me. I don't go through her phone, but I've noticed that she doesn't leave it out, ever. Even taking it with her to the shower, which is something that she never used to do. I don't think she's being unfaithful, but the thought has certainly crossed my mind. I asked her directly about this, and she got very upset and told me that this isn't about that. I told her that I wanted to be a part of what she's going through. She told me that I don't have the passion for the things that she wants to do. That she just needs me to find my own passions and my own friends. I genuinely enjoy her main hobby, but when I try to tell her that or be included in it, she insists that I don't enjoy it like she does. She just wants to be around people who love it like her. I feel like I'm losing my best friend of 15 years. My toddler is the lone light in my life. I don't know what to do and have been so sad. Update number 1. Things have been off with my wife. She's gotten face injections and has gone through weight loss that would point to drug use. She's been protective of her phone and generally dodgy. I confronted her and was completely gaslit. To the point that I set an appointment with a therapist because I thought I was being paranoid and insecure. I had to figure out why I felt the way I did. She went to the mountains yesterday, saying that she needed a weekend to herself. She wanted to go snowboarding and get a full night's rest away from the fussing baby, and it didn't feel right. She went back on birth control without discussing it with me. She went and got face injections. She went and got waxed and asked me to put the board rack on her roof, despite claiming she was the only one going. There were too many red flags for me to not hire a private investigator. The private investigator immediately secured photographs and video of the affair. Turns out she's fucking her boss. They are up there until Sunday, probably still fucking right now. I feel like a fool. We've all hung out multiple times. I'm so mad that she could blow up not just our lives, but the life of our 1-year-old. I'm stuck having to deal with her because of our shared son for essentially the rest of my life. I contacted a lawyer to file for divorce and plan to confront her when she gets back, but the divorce isn't likely to process for over a year. This is going to suck for a long time. Update number 2. I found out that my wife was having an affair with her boss. I found out while she was going on a girls' trip that she actually went and picked up her boss and spent the weekend in a hotel. I had been suspecting infidelity for a while and even confronted her about it, but was completely gaslit. I thought there was a problem with me. When she left for her trip, I made the decision to hire a private investigator. I thought that the apology for the betrayal of not trusting her while getting validation that I was just being paranoid would be easier to deal with than not knowing. After not even 45 minutes on the clock, the private investigator had photos and video of her picking him up. They were very casually kissing and finally ending the night going into the hotel. I got this confirmation on a Friday, and she didn't come home until Sunday morning. The whole time she was gone, she texted and called and went on like nothing was up. I had a small breakdown after finding out, and the first person I called was my therapist. Having an established therapist is one of the silver linings of the gaslighting. The second phone call I made was to my sister, who lives in the same state, but a while away. She came up and was there for me and helped me to stabilize. My next thoughts were how to move forward and set myself up to be out of the house. But still, be in a position to have my son for at least 50% of the time. I'm going to outline my actions quickly in case anyone else finds themselves in a similar situation. Contacted my hunting buddy and asked him to take my rifles and bow. I didn't want any claims of unsafe space from my wife citing the rifles being in the house. Bought and installed a nanny cam for the confrontation. I didn't want any claims of domestic violence or abuse to come down to, he said or she said. I live in a one-party consent state, so this was a no-brainer. I found a furnished month-to-month rental. I needed to accommodate working from home and have 2 bedrooms and be in a good enough area that there could be objections. Found a short-term hotel to bridge the gap between then and when my month-to-month lease would start. Had to check the same boxes as the month-to-month rental. Then I finally talked to a therapist. As crazy as it sounds, figuring out what you want in this situation feels impossible. Are you willing to allow your spouse to steal your ability to live with your son for 50% of his life between 1 and 18? That's 9 years. Not seeing the decision to leave as your decision is so much harder than you'd believe, and it fucking sucks. I laid out the conversation to be 3 to 5 minutes to avoid escalation. I laid it out as, I know about the affair. I'm not ready to talk. I'm moving out while I figure out a path forward. We need to have a conversation about how we are going to handle custody of our son in the short term while we figure out a path forward. Play it through in your mind or out loud, and do that through a number of expected responses. Expect them to be angry, sad, mad, in denial, and try to work it around to be your fault. Don't try to win, but you cannot lose. This is way more important if there is a kid or kids that you plan on fighting for. Don't get petty. Don't set their shit on fire. Don't go out of your way to piss them off. You are going to have a relationship with this person for the rest of your life through your relationship with your son. Shit is already going to be really hard. Don't make it harder, and don't give them any ammunition to bring up or use against you. Unfortunately for me, I didn't expect the no response. My wife sat there and said nothing. She just went completely blank. No shouting. Nothing, just complete silent. In the days since I have continued to see my therapist, I identified the gaslighting and emotional abuse that had been taking place in the months leading up to discovering the affair. This is apparently very common in instances of infidelity, as it gives the cheater justification to their actions, helps them sleep at night. Even now, I feel my wife trying to manipulate me into taking her back and work it out for the sake of our son. I don't trust her, and what's worse is I don't trust myself to talk to her about what happened. I'm afraid of getting gaslit again and feel like the whole thing was my fault. I set a time on Monday with a marriage counselor to finally have the conversation on what's happened and how we can try to move forward as co-parents for our son. She has already tried to claim that this was the first time and a mistake. I don't believe her, but also don't have proof that she is lying. Not sure how I'm going to handle that on Monday. I can't imagine a path forward that involves staying married to her. I also can't imagine forfeiting being there for half of my baby's life without being able to look them in the eye when the time comes and tell them that I tried everything that I could to be there for them. This fucking sucks. This is going to suck for a while. Don't cheat.